And any of his staff? Lyle, do you have any of your staff here? Great. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to him, and you probably have a lot of questions about current year funding, and I know he's been around talking with different groups about those issues, and so I'm just going to turn it over to him.
Good morning. I'm not sure what to start with here, but I will introduce my staff first before I talk about current year funding. It's always good to start with good news. All of my account analyst staff, my operations support team is here, except for one who hasn't returned from maternity leave. She should be back within a month or so, within a month. But I'm going to start with Saba Hussein, who's standing by the door back here. She is our new Director of Operations Support. She's been with us for a little over a month, but a week of that was in jury duty. So, but she's picking things up and catching on quick. On the right-hand side here in the back, the newest first is Barbara Micklin. Would you stand and wave? And she'll be is part of the team taking your calls to school finance. And then some names you're more familiar with, maybe not the faces, but we have Kristen Bumford. And last but certainly not least, Jim Heck. Okay, Mesa converting came up a couple of times. Mark said they were converting next week to submitting to AZEDs. Did you all hear the same thing I heard? I heard you better get your data in now before they switch to AZEDs. I know the IT is working on speeding up that process, but the sooner you submit, the more frequently you submit your changes, the more quickly you will get results back. Mark commented on he can't tell you not to submit everything. I'd definitely be willing to work on some law that says we can tell you not to submit everything. But current year funding is keeping me busy, so I won't be doing that for a year or so, if not longer. But it is important that if you're able to, that you only submit the changes. That'll speed it up no matter how fast the processing can go. Even if it's 5 million records in 13 seconds, it can still go faster if we don't have all the unnecessary records. Let's see. Submission, current year funding, and what does that mean for student data and those that are responsible for it? For the charter schools, they have a little bit of an idea of what this is like. We just finished processing the November processing, and the results will be used for January 2nd state aid payment. So it is almost immediate funding. We always have a charter or two that experiences a challenge. This year, it's been somewhere in the neighborhood of 8% of them having challenges. Some of those, I don't know why they're having challenges. I just this morning tied charter schools and a comparison of this year's ADM and SPED counts to last year's ADM and SPED counts. It does not appear to be related to a vendor. It does not appear to be related to a submission, whether it's AZEDs or SACE. So the data can be submitted, it can make it through to SACE for whatever reason, and there could probably be 100 to 1,000 different reasons for all the data not making it. But data does make it there, and we've got 350 or more charters that have good data, both ADM and ELL. So I know it is possible. What is different for school districts than charter schools? Well, you're going to definitely experience the same thing. If you submit your data under current year, let's just say you submit data in early December of 2016, we process it. Everything looks just like you want it to look. We're going to process that data January 1st, maybe early January, late December. With things moving faster, we might change the timeline for processing. But we will use that data for February 1st payment. If you flub, if you submit deletes, your data disappears, you're going to get a zero payment that next time around. You can register warrants, but it's not always possible in all cases. The submission of all data as quickly as possible is going to become even more urgent than most people would imagine. Everything, we are really talking about current day funding almost. Very close to it. There are a lot of things that are going to be impacted by the quality of data and the timeliness of when you submit that data, when you fix errors, if there are errors in the data. Under current law, we're going to analyze your school district's, doesn't apply to charters, but we're going to analyze your school district's expenditure budget. And if there are significant problems with student data, our budget calculation limit is going to be less than your district, your business manager budgeted for. And we're going to tell your district that you have to reduce your budget. So that's October 30th when we have to perform this. So it's important that we have the best data in AZEDS possible so that we can come as close as possible to the budget limit that your business manager calculated. Talking about that budget, the most up-to-date information and accurate information you have submitted to AZEDS is going to be needed so that someone in your school district, whether it's you or a demographer, the business manager, whoever it is going to need to project what your student count is going to be. So later this fiscal year, your business manager may already be doing this, someone else may already be doing this, but they are going to be projecting your average daily membership for 2017. Having good data in the system today will help them get a better handle on that. ADM, SPED, ELL will be impacted by this, and unfortunately, we won't be able to tell you what your budget limit really is until sometime around August 15th, September 1st, after the end of the fiscal year. So accuracy is, in those projections, is critical. Other things that are impacted by the timeliness and accuracy of the data is rollovers and lump sum reductions. We currently take away $930 million away from your school districts each year. We do pay it back on July 2nd, July 3rd, but it does impact the cash flow. Having an accurate count will help us to more appropriately allocate that $930 million to the right districts. Non-state aid districts like Saddle Mountain, Scottsdale, Cave Creek, much less of an impact on you, but there is a portion of the funding that is impacted, but it's small. That's a temporary takeaway. We take away permanently $380 million away from your school districts. You may have felt the pinch. Last year it was $240 260 million, but it was increased this year. In order to allocate that $380 million, we need accurate counts. So all I'm trying to say is sooner is better than later. I don't want to make any big adjustments in the statewide recalc that we do every July, but with AOI and dropout recovery programs being able to generate fundable ADM all the way through June 30th, it's something we are stuck with. But your data, as accurate as it can be, as early in the year as it can be, will help your district. Inaccurate data will not only impact your district, but it will impact every other district. If your ADM is understated, that means you're going to get a disproportionate share of those cuts, the rollover and the lump sum reductions. And that means that the other districts might gain a little bit when we do a statewide recalculation, and we'll take more away from your district. So there's a lot of pressure, a lot of responsibility on those that are responsible for submitting the student detail. I heard a sound and someone laughed. Pardon? Don't talk to me. I'm just the messenger. We have the department has prepared, or it's not quite final yet, a document of concerns that will be shared with the legislature and anyone who asks. There are a lot more than what I've shared here. Hopefully this, along with everybody else's efforts to at least get this delayed so that the issues can be addressed, will be successful. But until the legislature makes the change, we're stuck with current year funding. And I know it's going to be challenging for you at the very least. We're going to have similar fun at the state level also. Things roll uphill sometimes and downhill, I guess both ways. I think that is, are there any questions? Yes.
Mine is, I originally thought that you were going to take this year's 100 days as our projected numbers for next year. And I think I'm hearing you say that we still need to do an estimated count instead of you pulling it.
Well, she asked about estimated counts, what we're going to use for funding to start the year, and estimated counts. For your district's budget purposes, someone will need to estimate those counts for you, for your budget development. Whether that's an ADMS 46-1 SPED 28 or some forecast model that they've built in Excel, or pulling a number out of the air. That's right now a local decision. However, we will have to use the data that we have. We are working towards the ability to collect your student data in as early as June so that we could start with an upload from you in June. There are a number of technical issues that need to be worked through. If it can be done this year to where you can submit in June, we will use that data that you submit for 2017 and calculate a 100th day for 17, and that's what we would use. The only other two options that I can imagine would be used starting the year with this year's 100th day ADM, a less favorable and a bigger headache for us would be collecting the counts you want us to use. Or just pulling them off your budget worksheets. I'm not sure that's doable. It would be a last choice, I think, but I know that whatever we start the year with is not what we're going to end the year with.
Right, I understood that, but I thought I had previously heard that our 100-day numbers this year would be our estimated counts, and I hadn't heard that we would need to do a separate form, which I think I'm hearing now.
Well, we're not requiring a separate form. Your business manager is going to complete virtually the same budget worksheets that they do. Use whatever methodology they believe is best to put the student counts in those forms. We're not requesting a form from you.
So you're not requesting a manual estimated counts like charters previously did?
That is correct. We are not asking for estimated counts like we do from charters.
Okay, that was my question.
Okay.
Because I thought you had changed your mind from what I was hearing, so. Okay, and secondly, when you refer to what we do as the people that gather the data and send it, I'm assuming that you're giving that same recognition and information to our business managers and superintendents when you have your other meetings.
I've talked at Guppy Mac and ASBO about current year funding and so forth. Seems like a year ago I was at Guppy Mac was it a week or two ago? Last week, it seemed like a year ago. But we are talking about current year funding, and there will be more communication going out.
I was more talking about all of the changes that we are doing to get the data up there so that they can have their ADM account, their sped count, their test labels, their everything that our job has changed drastically.
Yes, it has. And I will add that to the list of things to bring up at Guppy Mac and other opportunities.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick clarification, because I think we use different people, different roles, use different terminology in terms of current year. So for 2015-16 academic year, the funding works the same way it was for 2014-15 academic year, correct?
Yes.
So all the changes you just talked about was for 2016-17 academic year.
Correct.
Thank
What
you.
I talked about is for the next fiscal year, beginning July 1, 2016. All the way in the back, can you yell?
If there's a new way to submit estimated counts, will charters be able to take advantage of that as well? Please.
The ultimate goal is to get rid of estimated counts and to have charters and districts submit their student detail in June or early July and base the funding on what is submitted by your SIS. So there won't be a new estimated counts application. We're hoping to retire the existing. But that's not going to happen this year, I believe.
So, Lyle, you're going to base our funding for the start of the school year off of June or July numbers when school doesn't start until early August? So you'll be basing it off of rollover numbers?
If we can get far enough along, we would begin the funding based on what you submit in June or July as expected enrollments for 2017. Otherwise, the option would be, as I said before, the current year 100th day. Now, as you submit your data, your student detail, enrollments, and withdrawals throughout the year, your ADM would be updated and payments would follow that updated ADM. And I am aware that that is not uncommon. There are districts that grow significantly. There are districts that decline significantly throughout the year. They decline from the first day of school to the last, or they grow from the first to the last. Every district will have a risk of being over budgeted or under budgeted, and if you over budget, you may be stuck with more teachers than you need. If you under budget, you may not have sufficient revenues to hire the teachers for the growth that was unexpected. These are items that we have in the document we're sharing with the legislature. Tax rates will be wrong. You cannot adjust your tax rates once you've adopted the budgets and the tax rates have been set in September. A non-state aid district that grows rapidly could be in a challenging situation because they have no other revenue stream. Two over here.
Does this mean that 40th and 100 day is no longer being looked at anymore?
Does that mean 40th and 100th day goes away? We're still going to fund you on 100th day. Our current APOR hasn't been rewritten. Opening that up and changing anything scares the heck out of me. We're going to keep the changes to a minimum, which might be just looking for the current year 100th day instead of the prior year 100th day. And AZEDS and ACE will be able to calculate a projected 100th day as soon as you have your data submitted and your calendar submitted. So 40th day, much less value. There won't be any sudden growth because the formula will always equal 0 for sudden growth. You will be current year funded based on your 100th day calculated using the data available at the point in time when it's calculated. So it will change every month for the majority of you. I know there's a handful of districts with 5 or 6 kids and they're there from day one to the end. Those won't change. Family moves out, they have 0. There are some small districts like that. Did that answer your question? Okay. One more back here.
I think you almost answered mine. Okay, so we're going to
live funding. So we were maybe what would be considered sudden growth for next year. We just are SOL.
Well, be positive. Instead of losing sudden growth, you're still going to gain the increase in the base support level and the increase in the district additional assistance. Right. Growing districts gain and declining districts lose even more. Even a declining district could have sudden growth based on their SPED counts. I'm going to pick on Mesa, but for a while their regular ed ADM was declining, but their SPED, looking for the student search, that was growing. That will no longer happen. So if you're growing, you gain. If you're declining, you're not going to gain. Anything else?
Thank you, Lyle, for being here. Oh, one more question.
You mentioned a list of concerns that are going to go or be presented to the legislators. Who put that list together? Were there many stakeholders or?
I gathered some of it from ASBO. I gathered some from the business managers. The business manager, the finance portion of GovBMAC. We talked about it several times there. And just running into people, business manager asked for input and so forth. So some of it was obvious, but others I had no clue.
So is there any way to add to that, or is it an ongoing thing?
It's close to being finalized, but if there is another concern, I will always try to get any more concerns on that come up. So if you have some, see me after or send me an email. That goes for anyone. You've had your two. We did get the absence one. It's out there online. And the unexcused piece that was of such concern, pardon? The FTE. Yeah. The staff have been trying to make efforts to do that, but any delay just gets compounded, and the delay is now even further because of current year funding. We look at charter schools every month, and we decide what to do. We've got 2 or 3 charters that their estimated count is X. Their calculated ADM is 0.01. We look at those kind of issues, and it takes a lot of their time, it takes a lot of our time. I'm just trying to say we haven't got the manual or the FTE, but they have been making a stab at it.
You can just repeat it, it's okay. But in terms of all of these changes, getting to the Auditor General and then updating the USFR questionnaire on which we get audited, what effect can we have on that? Because they're way behind.
The Auditor General's office, the only thing I've spoken with them about is the source used to build their budget on. I've spoken with Chris, she's talked with Laura and others, and they're willing to change to whatever guidance we go with, and it's going to be pretty loose guidance. We don't know what's going on in your district, whether there's buildings of homes, building of charters, have different impacts on your ADM. But they are willing to work with updating those, and we've already been in communication on those.
Is there a timeline on that?
Well, the questionnaire wouldn't come out until after the end of the fiscal year, so that would be sometimes towards the end of fiscal year 17. I don't know, are you wanting to have a statement from them saying that they're willing to do that, or?
No, I'm just curious.
Okay.
Our auditors are going to come, and then they're going to start asking us a bunch of questions on things that aren't what you're dealing with currently, right? So that's what I mean. And they seem to be way behind updating that questionnaire.
We've had several communications on that, and they're willing to update that, so. Yeah. And they actually said whatever we want. I don't have that in writing.
Well, thank you again, Lyle, for being here and addressing the very challenging issues. And I do know that, being part of those alphabet groups and being in some of those discussions, there are efforts out there, to possibly get a delay or even repeal in this upcoming legislative session. So we'll see. Okay, so thanks again, Lyle, and your team, and thanks for introducing them to us. I know we were running a little behind. We are going to do the prize drawings after we take a break. If you didn't get a raffle ticket, please make sure you have a ticket. We have them up here if you did not get one. So let's take a 10-minute break and come back. We'll do prizes, and then we're going to